So now today we'll be doing gateway endpoints. So I'll go to VPC. So I'll create a VPC. And I'll take its IPv4 CIDR. So I'll create a VPC. So now I'll create two subnets. One I'll try to show with public. If I'm accessing publicly, how can I access my S3 services like S3 like a list of the S3 bucket. And if I am accessing privately through endpoints, how can I access? We are doing the demo. So subnets. So I'll take one public. Huh? No, you can take anything. You can. I told you you can use a visual subnet calculator. You can use that, and it should not overlap. That's all. Next, coming to route tables. So by default, main route table will get created once we create the VPC. So you can see your gateway endpoint. Once I created a VPC, main route table got created. So I'll keep it as public. And I'll create one more route table, private. Okay. Now I'll use internet gateway for the public. This is public. So now I'll attach to VPC. So now we'll go to route tables. Create route table. Okay, route table is already created. Now I have public. I'll go to public. In public, by default, once we create a VPC, what and all will get created? We create a VPC, what will get created? What? The question is like, now I will create a VPC. By default, I told something else will get created. Once we create a VPC. Route table, main route table and local route. You can see here this local will get created. So now I'll add all traffic and internet gateway. So subnet association, edit. It is a public. So endpoints, like private is not depending on any kind of NAT or NAT gateway or internet gateway. I'm not going to attach anything here. Subnet association, private, save association. Okay, but routes, we have nothing here. So now we'll launch an instance. So we'll launch one public. So key pair, just check if I'm having the key pair or not. So yeah, I have. Yeah. So key pair is already existing, or else we can create a new key pair. We guys know all these things. So edit. So gateway endpoint and public and enable, and here we can give SSH, or we can give all traffic also, and come down, launch instance. Okay. Again we launch an instance. One more will be private. Yeah, private, and key pair already it's existing. I'll edit. It is a gateway endpoint and it's private, and we are disabling, we are not enabling the traffic here. Okay, and your SSH is enough. That's all. So we have given, and yeah, it's private, and we have disabled. So we launch the instance. No, SSH is enough. In security groups, right? You're asking in security groups. Right, you're asking about this one, right? Yeah, I have given SSH. SSH is enough. If you want, you can just add ICMP before also. Because we are just SSHing, and we are just checking the connectivity also. We can add ICMP before also. That's not an issue. So then I told we have to create a role. Right now, this EC2 instance, like VPC endpoints, what like, so this is our AWS account. In AWS account, we are having VPC. VPC we are having public and private subnet. So this is our AWS account, and we have VPC service, and here we are having public subnet, public subnet, and we are having private subnet, private subnet. So now, if normally public subnet wanna route the traffic to the internet, or it should wanna access anything, we are attaching internet gateway. Internet gateway, then it is accessing the internet. So this public subnet will access internet gateway, then only it is going to access internet, or it can access S3 services also, like any AWS services. So this is internet gateway, internet internet gateway, and this is internet. Okay, now our goal is like we are studying about VPC endpoints. It is accessing securely between your VPC and and the AWS services. So it like we are accessing it privately without any dependency on NAT gateway, or like internet gateway, nothing. So it is accessing privately using endpoint. So see, this private subnet is accessing endpoint, accessing the internet, or yeah, or AWS services, AWS services, and this is the endpoint. So it is not depending on anything internet gateway or nothing. It is accessing privately and accessing the AWS services like S3, EC2, IAM, anything if it wants to access. But coming to gateway endpoint, it supports only S3 and DynamoDB. It can access. So we are doing gateway endpoint. We are accessing which service? S3, right? So this is the scenario whatever we are doing, right? So now if two services want to communicate, I told we have to create a role. You guys know how to create role, right? But I'll just show because I'll just show how to create a role. But role is already created. So we need to go to roles. The roles we have create role. And if two services want to talk to each other, we are using AWS service. Allow AWS services like EC2, Lambda, others to perform actions in this account. And we are choosing use case like EC2. Next, and I'll choose a policy. I want to access S3 full access. So I'm choosing Amazon S3 full access. Come down. Next, and it is a gateway endpoint. Gateway endpoint role. Come down. Create a role. So role is created now. We'll go to the instance. So now for public, we need to attach a role. You guys remember? I told all these things yesterday, right? So we are going to public, actions, security, modify M role. I created gateway endpoint role. We are going to update the role. Okay. So now I'll copy this. I'll try to connect now. Copy this public IPv4 address. Go to downloads, and my key is here. So I'll get into command line. So now I have the command ssh tag I. So my key name is IEP, right? Key name is IEP dot pem ec2 hyphen user at. So are you sure you want to continue connecting? Yes. So it got connected. Okay. Now I'll try to access my S3 bucket. Okay. So I'll get into the root user. So now I'll check AWS S3 LS. So it is listing the bucket. I have only one bucket, that is Elastic Beanstalk, some bucket. If you have 100 buckets, it's going to list all the buckets. Clear with this public? Public is clear, right? So now we'll try to access through private. So I'll clear this one. Okay. Now I'll try to access private. Go to private. I'll copy my private IP address. Yeah, now my key is in my local server. So I have to store into this server, whatever the key is there. So if I try to access SSH tag I and key name and PEM, it will show it is error. So we'll try to copy the key into the server. Okay. So I told you Nano and Vim are the editors. You can use anything. So Nano, I'll use Nano and I'll create a key name as Rashmi. Okay. Enter. So I'll go to this key. I'll copy this key. Control Alt, Control C. Okay. Now coming here, I'll paste the key. So I pasted my key. So now you have to press Control O, Enter. So Control X. So now we got the exit. Now I'll list. See now Rashmi key is present here. Okay. Now I'll long list it. ls hyphen le. See now my Rashmi key, whichever I have created, it is having read write. Read write means it is having owner permission. Owner can access this key. And read, group can access this key, like any groups. Again read, other users, any other users also can access. So if I try to connect, it will not connect. It will show this is an unprotected key. So I'll try to connect it. SSH tag I, key name is Rashmi, EC2 hyphen user at. So private IP, I'll just copy private IP, paste. Are you sure you want to connect? Yes. See, it is unprotected private key file because it is having every permissions. I want to reduce the permission to the my key. So I'll use chmod 600 Rashmi. I'll reduce its permission. Now I'll long list. So now Rashmi permission has reduced to only owner permission. Okay. Now I'll try to SSH. See, now it got connected. Now I connected into the private. Okay. Now I'll try to access S3 bucket. AWS S3 ls. See there, I cannot access, unable to locate credentials. You can configure credentials by running AWS configure. Why? Why I'm unable to allocate the credentials? Why? No. Why? Tell the answer soon. What is the reason? Yeah, tell, you're right. Just be confident. We have not created endpoint. We have to create endpoint. And we have not attached the role also. Right? So we'll go to VPC. So we'll go to endpoints. Go to endpoints. So I'll create an endpoint. Endpoint is gateway endpoint. Come down. So we are doing for S3. We have gateway only for it supports S3 and DynamoDB. Now we are doing it for S3. And VPC is for gateway endpoint. And this is private. And we are going to create endpoint. So again, you try to access. So I'll try to access again. See again, unable to locate credentials because still I haven't attached the role. Go to instance. We go to public, actions, security, modify enroll. So it is gateway endpoint. Okay, it's public. So I need to go to private, actions, security, modify enroll, modify. Okay, now we'll try to access. See, we are able to access through endpoints. We are not depending on any kind of internet gateway or NAT gateway. We are accessing securely with through the VPC and through the endpoint. So this is about gateway endpoint.